The murder that echoed across stars. The Galactic Concord Hall was built to be untouchable, a sanctuary of peace floating at the crossroads of 10,000 worlds. Its walls shimmered with energy fields older than the Empire itself, and its floor gleamed with alloy mined from the hearts of dead stars. On that day, it was filled with dignitaries, soldiers, and ambassadors from every known race. The air hummed with diplomacy and tension in equal measure. Ambassador Elena Ward stood at the center dais, her calm presence commanding quiet respect. The top human diplomat to the Galactic Empire, she had spent her life brokering fragile truces, patching over centuries of mistrust. Humanity's seat in the Concord had always been precarious. They were young compared to the star-faring ancients, impulsive, emotional, and too clever for their own good. Yet Elena had earned their grudging admiration. Her voice, calm but firm, carried through the chamber. "If peace means silence in the face of oppression," she said, "then peace is just a slower kind of war." The room shifted uneasily. The Empire's delegation, robed in gold and obsidian, exchanged sharp glances. Their High Prefect's smile was tight and cold. He had warned her not to challenge imperial authority again. Elena didn't care. She represented Earth, a world that had risen from ashes too many times to fear empires. Then happened. A flicker of light, too quick for the eye, sliced across the room. The shimmer of a cloaking field collapsed in a pulse of blue static, revealing a figure behind her. Armor matte black, sigil of the Empire carved across the chest plate. Before anyone could move, the assassin's arm plunged forward, a blade of shifting phase energy stabbing clean through Elena's back. There was no scream, only a gasp, sharp, human, final. The hall erupted into chaos. Alien guards drew weapons. Humans leapt to their feet. The assassin twisted the blade once, then triggered a self-dissolution protocol, body turning into vapor, weapon disintegrating into nothing but motes of light. By the time security fields came online, there was no killer left to capture. Only Elena's body, crumpled on the Concord floor. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the human delegation rose, together, silent, grim. Ambassador Kaido Run, deputy to Elena, stepped forward and lifted her body gently. His voice, when he finally spoke, was steady. Humanity withdraws. No shouts, no threats. Just those two words broadcast across every channel, echoing in the stunned chamber. Then they walked out, every human envoy, every aide, every guard. The doors closed behind them with a soft, mechanical hiss that felt heavier than thunder. The Empire's representatives stood frozen, their expressions unreadable. Some whispered excuses, a rogue agent, a misunderstanding, terrorist interference. Others smirked faintly, thinking it had all gone according to plan. They believed humanity would rage, protest, maybe demand investigation. They thought humans were predictable, loud, emotional, easily contained. They did not understand the silence. On Earth, 12 light-years away, the encrypted transmission arrived in the middle of the night. A single video frame, Elena Ward collapsing. The Terran diplomatic corps fell into stunned quiet. Moments later, military priority channels lit up with red. In the deep underground vault beneath Geneva Arcology, a sealed directive was opened for the first time in 2 centuries. Protocol ASHFALL. Classification. Extinction level response. The human leadership gathered within the hour. Representatives of every major power, the Admiralty, the United Planets Congress, and the Defense AI Oversight Network. No arguments, no debate, just one shared emotion that cut deeper than fury, resolve. "Are we certain the Empire sanctioned this?" asked Fleet Marshal Reyes. "They didn't need to sign it," replied the intelligence director. "Their fingerprints are everywhere." "Then this isn't an attack," Reyes said softly. "It's a declaration." The president of the unified Earth government stood and looked around the war room, the same chamber where humanity's greatest crises had been managed. Her voice was level, stripped of emotion. "Activate Ashfall," she said. "All of it. Across the stars, old systems woke from sleep. Deep space monitoring stations went dark, rerouting to secure channels. Orbital shipyards began producing in silence. Subspace beacons blinked out, humanity cutting its presence from galactic networks. Within 48 hours, every human ambassador, scientist, and citizen within Imperial territory was recalled or extracted. Diplomatic channels ceased to exist. The Empire mistook this withdrawal for fear. They told themselves the humans had been cowed. That Earth would beg for justice from a Concord. They were wrong. Humanity does not beg. Humanity plans. And in the cold void between stars, fleets that had not moved in generations stirred again. Dreadnoughts, black as night, powered up their ancient reactors. Their hulls bore names remembered from humanity's last great war. Vigilant, enduring, Retribution. In the abandoned Concord Hall, the cleaning drones had long since cleared the blood. But the echo of that moment, the gasp, the silence, the look on her face, lingered like a scar. Across the galaxy, 1,000 species replayed the footage again and again, trying to understand the human silence. They would soon learn, because on the third day after Elena Ward's assassination, a transmission left Earth. It contained no words, no threats, no demands. Just a set of coordinates, a timestamp, and a single Terran seal. A silver circle enclosing a burning torch. The message was addressed to the Galactic Empire, and it meant one thing. Humanity was coming. Retribution is not rage. The Empire celebrated. Not openly, of course. That would have been undiplomatic. But in war rooms and private chambers, Imperial strategists marked the humans' sudden silence as confirmation of every bias they had ever held. The withdrawal of embassies was interpreted as weakness. The blackout of human communications was labeled disorganization. Grief fractures young civilizations. The High Prefect declared to his council, "They will posture, then retreat. They always do." No one in the Empire truly understood humans. They believed anger was humanity's weapon. They never considered patience. On Earth, grief had already passed. In the Geneva Arcology, Ambassador Elena Ward's image hung above the unified command table. Not as a martyr, not as propaganda, but as a reminder. Humanity did not mourn loudly. Humanity cataloged. The first phase of Protocol Ashfall was already complete. Every human civilian within 3 jumps of Imperial space had been evacuated under the cover of trade convoys. Colony populations vanished quietly, their worlds left lit but empty. Automated systems continued broadcasting routine life signs to lull enemy sensors. The second phase unfolded without announcement. Across the outer reaches of human-controlled space, dormant shipyards activated. They were not impressive structures, no grand orbital rings or shining monuments. They were ugly, functional, and buried deep inside asteroid clusters, shielded from casual detection. Inside them, fleets were being assembled not for glory, but for certainty. Human warships were not beautiful. They were dark, angular, and layered in redundant armor. Every system was duplicated. Every weapon had a counterweapon. No ship carried more crew than necessary, and every crew member was trained for 3 roles. Speed is irrelevant, Admiral Reyes told his captains. Survivability is victory. No cheers followed. None were needed. The third phase was where the Empire began to feel something was wrong. Imperial logistics hubs experienced failures. Nothing dramatic, nothing traceable. Navigation arrays drifted by fractions of a degree. Supply convoys arrived days late, or not at all. Communications lagged just enough to cause confusion. Engineers blamed aging infrastructure. Commanders blamed each other. Human cyber warfare did not announce itself. It embedded. It learned. It waited. AI war nodes slipped into Imperial networks disguised as maintenance subroutines, mapping everything. Fleet movements, supply dependencies, political rivalries. The humans were not looking for targets. They were building models. War is a system, said the Defense AI Prime. The goal is not destruction. The goal is collapse. On the Empire's frontier, border patrols reported strange sensor ghosts, fleeting mass signatures that vanished when approached. Fleet commanders requested authorization to investigate. Requests stalled in bureaucracy. The High Prefect dismissed the reports. "Phantoms," he said. "The humans want us nervous." He did not realize the humans had already passed those patrols. Human fleets did not move like fleets. They did not gather. They did not announce presence. Each task group traveled independently, masked by gravitational noise and folded space distortion. Every route was planned years in advance. Every contingency accounted for. Humanity had learned long ago that the best way to fight a stronger enemy was to deny them the battle they wanted. At the heart of unified command, the question was finally asked. What about negotiation? One civilian delegate ventured. What if the Empire offers concessions? The room was silent for several seconds. Admiral Reyes answered carefully. Ambassador Ward was the concession. No one argued after that. Humanity was not seeking revenge. Revenge was emotional, short-sighted, unstable. This was retribution, a structural correction to a hostile system. The objectives were simple. Remove the Empire's capacity to project power. Expose its leadership's crimes to the galaxy. Ensure no future civilization ever repeats this mistake. The war was already underway. It simply hadn't become loud yet. The first and only warning the Empire received came exactly 72 hours after the Concord assassination. An unencrypted transmission appeared simultaneously in every Imperial command center, relay hub, and diplomatic archive. It contained no human faces, no speeches. Only a calm, synthetic voice, translated perfectly into every known Imperial dialect. This message serves as notification. Diplomatic immunity has been violated. Accountability will follow. Then the transmission ended. No countdown, no threats, just certainty. Far from Imperial space, a human task group drifted in the shadow of a dying star. Their flagship, HMS Retribution, powered up its primary systems for the first time since launch. Crew moved with quiet efficiency, expressions controlled, focused. Captain Amina Solis stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. "All units report readiness," her first officer said. She nodded once. "Proceed," she replied. Across dozens of systems, similar orders were given. Weapons armed, drives aligned, fire control, AIs synchronized. Still, no shots were fired. Not yet. In the Imperial capital, celebrations ended when 3 outer sector communication arrays failed simultaneously. Then 5 more. Then an entire fortress system stopped responding altogether. No distress call, no debris, no radiation spike. Just silence. For the first time, fear crept into Imperial calculations. And far too late, they began to understand the truth humanity had learned long ago. Anger burns fast and dies. But retribution is patient, and it does not stop once it begins. The galaxy learns how humans wage war. The first Imperial system fell without a battle. There was no explosion, no warning sirens, no heroic last stand broadcast across the stars. One moment, the fortress world of Kairos Prime was the nerve center of the Empire's eastern fleets. The next, it was simply gone. Its stars still burned. Its planets still turned. But every orbital station, defense grid, shipyard, and fleet asset within the system powered down simultaneously. Engines died mid-burn. Shield collapsed. Artificial gravity failed. Kairos Prime became a graveyard of drifting metal. Imperial Command stared at their displays in disbelief. Sensors showed no enemy signatures, no radiation spikes, no exotic weapons discharge. It was as if the system had been switched off by an unseen hand. They did not know that hand had been human. Humanity's opening strike did not target ships or cities. It targeted assumptions. At precisely the same moment across 3 sectors, Imperial hyperlane control nodes were neutralized. Gravity lattice anchors, ancient infrastructure the Empire relied upon for fleet movement, were rendered inert by cascading resonance pulses tuned specifically to Imperial alloys. The Empire's fleets were suddenly fast in theory and immobile in practice. Human tacticians had no interest in dramatic confrontations. Battles created variables. Variables created risk. Instead, they dismantled the empire piece by piece, isolating systems until resistance became irrelevant. Logistics are the enemy, Admiral Reyes said during the first combat briefing. Armies starve. Ideas don't. When the Empire finally located a human task group, they rushed to engage. 3 Imperial battlecruisers translated into real space near a mining system on the frontier. Their weapons locked onto a single human destroyer drifting openly, its hull scarred, its drive signatures minimal. Imperial commanders smiled. At last, something they understood. The destroyer did not fire. Instead, it transmitted a narrow-band signal that lasted exactly half a second. The Imperial ships lost targeting coherence. Their fire control AIs began correcting for threats that didn't exist, recalculating endlessly. Weapon systems overheated, trying to reconcile contradictory inputs. Then a human ship fired once. A focused gravity lance passed cleanly through the lead cruiser's reactor housing, not tearing it apart, but collapsing the containment field. The cruiser folded inward like wet paper. The remaining 2 ships attempted to flee and slammed into distorted space-time, their drives tearing themselves apart. The human destroyer powered down and vanished. No pursuit followed. Across the galaxy, similar encounters unfolded. Imperial fleets were not destroyed in grand battles. They were disassembled. Fuel depots ignited themselves under false diagnostics. Command ships lost synchronization with escorts. Entire battle groups surrendered without firing a shot, their crews suddenly aware they were blind, deaf, and utterly alone. Non-aligned species watched in growing horror. This was not how wars were fought. This was not conquest or domination. This was surgical eradication of capability. The truth spread quickly. Humanity was not fighting the Empire. Humanity was ending it. At last, the Empire attempted what it should have done from the beginning. They asked to talk. A diplomatic channel was forced open using Concord emergency protocols. Imperial ministers appeared on the holos, pale, frantic, stripped of their former arrogance. "We regret the incident," the High Prefect said, his voice trembling. "Those responsible will be investigated, punished. Let us restore dialogue." The human response was a single recorded message. Ambassador Elena Ward's final moments. The footage showed her turning as the blade pierced her back, her body shielding her aide. Her voice was faint but clear. "If you kill me," she whispered, "they will come, and they will not stop." The transmission ended. So did the negotiation. The Empire tried to rally its core worlds, pulling fleets back toward the capital. They hoped to present a united front, a final line humanity would hesitate to cross. Humanity did not hesitate. They bypassed the capital entirely. Instead, human task groups struck shipyards, academies, and command nexuses. They exposed classified imperial war crimes to galactic networks. Vassal states received unfiltered evidence of decades of exploitation, mass executions, and political assassinations. Defections began within hours. Entire sectors renounced imperial authority, their defense grids voluntarily powering down rather than face the humans. A message circulated among non-human worlds, passed quietly, urgently. Do not resist. Do not interfere. The humans are not here for you. On the bridge of the HNS Retribution, Captain Solis watched another Imperial system fall dark on her tactical display. "How many now?" her first officer asked. "Enough," Solis replied. "They're collapsing inward." She allowed herself one moment, just one, to think of Ambassador Ward, of the years she had spent trying to prevent exactly this outcome. Then she straightened. "Proceed to phase blackout," she ordered. At the heart of the Empire, panic finally replaced denial. Supply lines were severed. Communications fractured. Fleet commanders ignored civilian authorities. The High Prefect locked himself inside the Imperial Spire, surrounded by guards who no longer trusted him. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an enemy it could not intimidate, outgun, or outlast. An enemy that did not seek glory. only finality. And as the galaxy watched the Imperial banner fall from world after world, a terrible understanding settled in. Humanity had chosen diplomacy first, and now, having lost its voice, it spoke only in actions. The cost of killing a human peacemaker. The imperial capital of Aurelian did not burn. That fact alone confused the galaxy. For centuries, the Empire had ended wars by annihilating enemy capitals, reducing them to radioactive warnings etched into star maps. When humanity's fleets emerged from folded space around Aurelian, many expected the same fate, a spectacular destruction to mark the end of an era. Instead, the human ships stopped. They formed a perfect, silent ring around the system, weapons charged but unfired. Traffic in and out of Aurelian ceased as human interdiction fields locked every hyperlane and jump point. No vessel was destroyed trying to flee. They were simply turned back. The message was clear: you'll not escape, but you'll be judged. Inside the Imperial Spire, the High Prefect watched the encirclement in stunned silence. His advisors shouted over one another, demands to fight, to negotiate, to flee. None of it mattered. The Empire's fleets were gone, its vassals defected, its infrastructure hollowed out. Aurelian stood intact only because the humans allowed it to. An encrypted transmission arrived moments later, accepted automatically by every Imperial system. A human face appeared, calm, expressionless, wearing no rank insignia. This conflict is concluded, the speaker said. You will surrender all political and military authority immediately. Compliance will prevent further loss of life. The High Prefect laughed weakly. You can't simply dismantle an empire, he said. The human looked at him with something like pity. We already have. The surrender was signed within the hour. Human Marines did not storm the capital. They arrived in precise, disciplined formations, securing weapons, data vaults, and command centers. No looting, no reprisals. Civilian districts were left untouched. Those responsible for Ambassador Ward's assassination were not executed. They were extracted. Imperial ministers, intelligence directors, and military commanders vanished from their chambers as human special operations teams removed them with clinical efficiency. Each was transported to a neutral holding facility under Concord jurisdiction. The galaxy watched as humanity did something unprecedented. They turned the Empire over to law. The tribunal convened on neutral ground, broadcast across every known system. Survivors of imperial atrocities testified. Evidence was laid bare, unedited, undeniable. At the center of it all was Elena Ward's name. She was remembered not as the spark of war, but as the line the Empire crossed. When the assassin's handler was asked why the order had been given, his answer echoed across the stars. Humans were becoming inconvenient, he said. Too vocal, too moral. The silence that followed was heavy enough to bend history. In the aftermath, humanity did not occupy imperial space. They restructured it. Vassal worlds were granted autonomy under mutual defense treaties. Assassination as a political tool was outlawed, enforced by permanent human monitoring fleets stationed at neutral corridors, not above capitals, not above populations, but above decision points. Diplomatic immunity was no longer a suggestion. It was guaranteed. Humanity offered no apologies for the war, but they offered something far more terrifying: a promise. On Earth, Ambassador Ward was buried beneath an open sky, her coffin draped not in flags, but in the symbol of the Terran diplomatic corps, an olive branch crossed with a torch. The president spoke only once at the ceremony. She believed words could save lives, she said. She was right. And when those words were silenced, we made sure the cost was never forgotten. No cheers followed. No chants. Just quiet understanding. Years later, in classrooms across the galaxy, the war was studied under a single heading: the Retribution conflict. Students learned that humanity did not win through superior firepower, though they had it. They did not win through numbers, though they were many. They won because they understood something older than empires. That peace is not the absence of violence. It is the presence of accountability. A plaque now stands in the restored Galactic Concord Hall, mounted exactly where Elena Ward fell. It bears no date, no mention of the war, no warning. Only a single line, translated into every known language. Diplomacy is humanity's first choice. Retribution is what follows when it is murdered. And so the galaxy learned the final lesson the Empire never did. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its fleets, nor its technology, nor even its unity. It was its restraint, and the knowledge of what happens when that restraint is finally, irrevocably gone.